All right, guys. Well, welcome to our phone training part one, where we're going to be talking about the script delivery. This training is just to help you guys get started. I'm super excited for each and every single one of you. There is so much opportunity in what we're doing, and one of the most important parts of what we do is to get them on the phone and book an appointment so they can see how this insurance is going to help them. So what we're going to be talking about today is the script delivery. We're going to be going over and talking about the speed of the call. We're going to be talking about a concept called triple dial. We're going to be talking about how to switch out your phone number so you can get the most contacts. We're going to be reviewing your tone. We're going to be reviewing something called death pause. We're going to be reviewing your objections. And lastly, we're going to be reviewing the health qualifications and how to ask for that. So let's talk a little bit about your speed. So listen, we all have had telemarketers call us before, right? And there's a big difference of somebody who's talking with you and somebody who's talking at you. Can you just remember going back to a time that a marketer called and they were supersonic fast, or there was no emotion in what they were saying. You could tell they were just reading a script. Or they were just going super slow and they were waiting for you to interject. And a lot of times, obviously, they would get a not interested if that were to happen. So my goal for you today is to get a good foundation as to how to deliver the script properly. Now, it all starts with the script, right? So I'm going to kind of switch my screen here and go to our script. This is the script each and every single one of you have received. And so initially, this is what we're going to be working off of. But understand what a script is. A script is just a structure. It's a process, right? It's something to get started on. Once you get more and more comfortable with this, you're going to be able to, number one, have this memorized. That's the most important thing, because if you can focus on how you're saying over what you're saying, you're going to sound more real. You're going to sound like a person, okay? So number one, and most importantly, we need to be able to deliver the script as if you created the word yourself. But the only way to get to that point is by memorization. Now, some of you are going to say, well, the best way for me to memorize is to start the activity and start doing it and do repetition. And you're 100% right. There's nothing more powerful than real life experience, right? Nothing more powerful than real life experience. However, that doesn't mean you can't be prepared, right? You just have to do everything you can to be prepared, and then let the experience build that foundation into something that's strong, okay? So first and foremost, you want to make sure you memorize these scripts, so that way you can focus on how you're saying something, but not what you're saying. So this is the script that you guys were all given, and I'm going to demonstrate what poor speed is, okay? And I'm going to demonstrate what poor emotion is, okay? So just kind of follow along. I would highly recommend taking some notes, and definitely go back and listen to this recording over and over and over again. So that way you can really become the best appointment setter that's out there. So here's an example of really poor speed. Hi, John. Hey, John, this is Ben Miller. I'm giving you a call in regards to the mortgage you originally took out with Bank of America. When you originally took out your mortgage, you had requested some information about mortgage protection insurance policy that would pay off the mortgage completely in case of an unexpected death, or assist with the mortgage in case of a disability. Our records indicate that a policy has not been taken out, and I am the case manager working on your case. I was about halfway through working up the quotes before I realized I needed to verify some information before I can get started. Did that sound interesting to you? Like, would you want to stay on the phone and listen to me if that's how I sounded? Right? Obviously, that's not the case. You would hang up on me immediately. And let's think about the psychology on why people are going fast. The reason why people are moving fast through the script is because they don't want to hear they're not interested. The concept is simple. If I don't give somebody the opportunity to interject and say that they're not interested, then they won't tell me they're not interested. And they're not wrong about that. But how they're doing it is what's wrong, right? So that's an example of a poor delivery that might be going too fast. And here's a key for you guys. If you're out of breath, that means you're going too fast. And you all know what I mean by that, right? Sometimes we go too quickly and we're not finding spots in the script to breathe. So by the time you get done with the first sentence, you're like gasping for air. We don't want you gasping for air. We want you to be comfortable and relaxed, because posture is everything with this. People want to follow somebody who knows what they're doing. And if you sound like you know what you're doing, again, people are just going to follow you. So that was an example of a poor delivery with respect to going too fast. Now, this is what it's going to sound like if it's going too slow, and I'm going to bring in the concept of a death pause. So before we go over a death pause, what is a death pause? A death pause is a pause at the end of a sentence, right? And the reason, the psychology behind why people do that is so they can hear acceptance. They want to hear something on the other end of the line. They want to hear a uh-huh or an acknowledgement, because you feel that if you get that acknowledgement, you can proceed. But I'm telling you that it's considered a death pause. It's a death pause because you will kill yourself with rejections if you give the people an opportunity to say no. So, but here's what good death pauses sound like. And I say good in a demonstration way. Death pauses are super bad. We don't want death pauses, okay? So, and how people create a death pause is by pausing at the end of the sentence. So here's how this would sound. And again, this is not the way to do the script, right? Here we go. Hi, John, please. Hi, John. My name is Benjamin, and I'm calling you in regards to the mortgage you originally took out with Bank of America. When you originally took out your mortgage, you had requested information on a mortgage protection insurance policy that would pay off the mortgage completely in case of an unexpected death or assist with the mortgage in case of a disability. Our records indicate that a policy has not been taken out, and I'm the case manager working on your case. I was about halfway through working up the quotes before I realized that I needed to verify that information before I can get that out to you. Did you notice that I paused at the end of every sentence? And that's what you're going to sound like. Like if you were to actually record your first couple of calls, naturally, every one of us are going to have a pause at the end of a sentence. What I'm going to teach you is how to pause in the middle of the sentence, and that's where you take your breath. Because this is what human instinct is. Most people, I say most because there's no such thing as all, no such thing as everyone, but most people will give you the benefit of the doubt and allow you to complete your sentence before they tell you they're not interested. Okay, they want you to complete it, but the second you give them that opportunity, that's where they're going to jump in and say that they're not interested. So how do we avoid that? By not going too fast, right? Because we don't want to go too fast either. The key is to be able to pause and breathe in the middle of the sentence, not the end of the sentence. So I'm going to give you an example of what that sounds. And you guys are going to need to role play this over and over again until you can find the spaces where you feel comfortable pausing that won't create a rejection. And again, it's in the middle of the sentence. So if you're taking notes, I'd write this down. Every time you see a period, it really is a comma. And every time you see a comma, that's where your period is. That's where you breathe. So anytime there's a comma, that's where you want to breathe. And anytime there's a period, you want to create a run-on sentence. And I usually use the word now, right? So if I want to create a run-on sentence, I'll throw in the word now. But anyway, let's take a look and see how this sounds. Now I'm going to try to mark it up on the computer here so you can kind of see it as I'm going through it. So hi, John, please. Hey, John. My name is Benjamin Miller, and I'm calling you in regards to the mortgage that you originally took out with Bank of America. Now, when you took out that mortgage, notice I paused right there. When you took out your mortgage, you had requested information on a mortgage insurance policy that would pay off the mortgage completely in case of an unexpected death or assist with the mortgage in case of a disability. Now, our records indicate, I paused right there, and I was breathing. Now, our records indicate that a policy has not been taken out, and I'm the case manager working on your case. Now, I was about halfway through working up your quotes before I realized that I needed to verify some information before I can get that out to you. So let's put it all together without me kind of coaching you guys as I'm going through it. And again, right now I only have 3 pauses in that little paragraph that I'm going to be breathing, but that's it, right? And again, you're going to find that if you deliver your script this way, they're not going to interject and give you the answer no as often as you would normally think. So here's how it sounds naturally as you get this, okay? So hi, John, please. Hi, John. My name is Benjamin Miller, and I'm calling you in regards to the mortgage you originally took out with Bank of America. Now, when you originally took out that mortgage, you had requested some information on a mortgage protection insurance policy that would pay off the mortgage completely in case of a sudden death or assist with the mortgage in case of a disability. Now, our records indicate that a policy has not been taken out, and I'm the case manager working on your case. And I was about halfway through before I realized that I had to verify some information before I can get that out to you. Now, you indicated on your form that you're 39 years old and a non-smoker. Is that correct? Now, obviously, if there's a question mark, you pause because you're waiting for a response. Okay, great. Now, I have the mortgage in the amount of $300,000 when you took it out originally. Is that a 30-year term? Again, you pause because there's a question mark. Okay, great. And God forbid if you were to pass away, who would be the beneficiary of the home? Again, question mark. So we pause and wait for a response. But do you see how that sounds natural? And guys, listen, there are a million different scripts out there. I'm not saying to you that this is the all and be all script. I am telling you this is your structure. Okay, so can you change out a few words saying and a? Absolutely, that's not an issue. What we don't want you to do is change the meaning of the script. Like, I'll give you another script. I'm not going to look at the computer there that I started with when I first got started. But again, it's the same content, right? So, hi, ma'am, please speak with John. Hey, John, this is Ben Miller, and I'm giving you a call in regards to the mortgage with SunTrust. Now, when you took out that mortgage, you had sent us a request asking about information on a mortgage insurance policy that would pay off the mortgage in case of a sudden death or assist with the mortgage in case of a disability. Now, I'm the case manager that's currently working up the quote, and I was about halfway through before I realized I had to verify some information before I can get that out to you. Now, you indicated that you were 39 years old and a non-smoker. Is that correct? Do you see how natural that sounds? I didn't have to go super fast. I didn't lose my breath. The speed was good. The tone was good. You could tell that I'm smiling as I'm going through this. All that stuff matters. If you guys start making these phone calls like a robot, it's going to be super painful. And I don't want to have you go through that. And obviously, we are working off of results here, so we got to make sure that you're successful. Now, there's another word I want you to notice that I have in here. I'm going to highlight it for you, if I can figure out how to do that. Let's see. There it is, highlight. Notice the word originally. Oh, that's an awful highlight. Let's redo that. I don't want to. Let me just underline it. Notice the word originally. I have that in two spots. The reason why I have that is because in the very beginning, you guys are going to be working some older leads. Okay, listen, when I first got started in Symmetry, just so you guys know, because I didn't know what I was doing, for the first 6 months, I only worked the older leads. I'm talking leads that were 2, 3, 4 years old. And the reason why I was working those leads is because I didn't want to spend my money on the high dollar leads and not get good results. I wanted to make my mistakes on these older leads. And here's what's crazy. Agents do not dial their leads correctly, right? They're not very efficient. They're scared of the phone. So because of that, they're certainly not calling through it the way that they should. And I find that a lot of gold nuggets in these leads. The only difference between the new lead and the old lead is the amount of activity you've got to get to book an appointment. And here's what I mean by that. If I was working brand new leads, somebody who just requested the information, for every 3 people that I speak to, I would book 2 appointments. But for me, for the older leads, for every 10 people I spoke to, I would book around 2 appointments. Notice the difference? I only had to speak to 3 to get 2 on the new leads, but I had to speak to 10 to get 2 on the older leads. Now, is that bad? Absolutely not, right? In the very beginning, what do you need most of to get better? You need repetition. You need experience. So after an entire week of dialing off of the old leads, and you're talking through all those people, how much better are you going to be at the very end? Now, we have ratios that we go off of, and they're national statistics. Agents all across the country, we know what this data should produce. So we're going to kind of match you up to that data. And as you continue to hit the right benchmarks, we're going to be increasing the, I don't want to say quality of the lead because the quality is good, but we're going to be increasing the newness of the lead, right? So your goal for this is for everybody. Once your guys are up and running, you should be booking between 3 and 4 appointments every hour. That's your goal. Every hour, you want to be booking 3 to 4 appointments, okay? The only way you do that is through activity, right? The more dials you have, the more people you're going to speak to. The more people that you're going to speak to, the more appointments that you're going to get. This is really, really important. Now, every single body on this phone that's listening to this call, you guys are going to be on a dialer. It's an auto dialer. It's not a power dialer, so you're still going to click dial and all those things, but it's more efficient than manually dialing, so it's in a system. The system's going to track all your dispositions. The system is going to give you all the information about the lead. The script is going to be there. The objections are going to be there. All that's all in the system. So then all you're focusing on is giving your best personality to the people across or people on the phone with you, okay? So I guess the major takeaways on this first section is we want to make sure we have a conversation tone or conversation speed. And forgive my handwriting. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to spell it because I'm a terrible speller. Let's just give it a whirl. Conversation speed. We want to make it sound like it's a conversation. We don't want to make it too quick or too slow. And we know that the major takeaways, we don't want to pause at the end of the sentence. We want to pause in the middle of the sentence. Okay? So with that said, what's the next thing that we're going to be talking about here? Let's go ahead and open this back up and show you. Bear with us here. Okay, so we talked about speed. So let's talk a little bit about the triple dial. Remember I talked about, that this is a contact sport. The more people that you get a hold of, the more appointments you're going to book. Well, this is what I mean by that. Every lead that we have may have 1, 2, or even up to 4 phone numbers. So every number that's there, we're actually going to call that lead, that number, 3 times. So let's just say there was a home phone number and a cell phone number. I'm going to call the cell phone number first. It doesn't really matter which one. I'm going to let it ring 4 times. And then after the 4th ring, if they don't pick up, I'm going to hang up the phone. And then I'm going to call that number right back. So that now is the double dial. So it's back to back. So I'm going to let it ring again another 4 times. And if they don't answer the phone, I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call it right back for the 3rd time. That's called the triple dial. This is so critical. And I could tell you right now, out of the last 5 years that I've been doing this, I could count on one hand how many people got mad at me for doing that. Because in reality, this is extremely important. Understand this. Guys, we're in the life insurance business. If somebody passes away and they don't have insurance, what kind of impact does that have on their family? Like, we're not selling a luxury here. We're not selling vacations or watches or whatever it is. We're selling something that everybody needs. And we have a responsibility, right? If we're purchasing, like me, now not you guys, but if I'm purchasing these leads, these are people who've requested at some point in the past that they wanted more information on mortgage protection insurance. So it's my responsibility to do everything I can to help that family. And triple dialing is one of them. So why does that work? Well, let me ask you, if an unknown number calls your number, how many of you guys would actually answer the phone on the first try? And reality is most of us wouldn't, right? Most of us would just let it go to voicemail because it's an unknown number. Now, if that same number called you back to back, how many of you guys would answer the phone then? See, a certain number of you guys said, I would. I'm curious now. The same number called me back to back. Now, curiosity caught the cat. But if you still held off and you're like, no, I don't know what this is. I'm just going to let it go to voicemail. If it's important to leave a voicemail, and you call it again a 3rd time, that creates what we call sense of urgency. And you're going to speak to so many more people when you do that. Now, somebody in the background is probably thinking, yeah, but if you keep doing that, eventually they're just going to keep seeing your number and they're never going to pick up. That's why we use different phone numbers. So I'll give you an example. Let's say today is Monday, which it is. I'm doing this training on a Monday. And I started dialing at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, by the time I get through all my leads, let's say in triple dialing every number, right? So if a lead has 2 phone numbers and I triple dial both of those numbers and no one answers, That counts as 6 dials, okay? So I'm going to be doing that with every one of my leads. But let's just say at the end, it took me from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock to finish up all of my leads. I called them all of them once. The dialer allows us to switch out our phone number so we can start dialing all those leads again. Because now I have a different phone number, and again, I'm going to do the triple dial again, all the way through until I get my dispositions on all my leads. Like, that's how you get contact. That's the first step for success here when booking appointments. The person who speaks to the most people will always win. I don't care how terrible you are. If you do it often enough, you're going to get really, really, really good. Okay, so hopefully you guys understand triple dial, and hopefully you understand about changing phone numbers. So let's just say at 12 o'clock now, I switch out my phone number, and I go through all my leads again, triple dialing every single one of them. Maybe it takes me from 12 to 3 to finish up those leads. And maybe some of you guys will be done with work. Other you guys might dial through again. Well, if you dial through again, you're going to change out your phone number again. Every person's going to have a total of 3 phone numbers that they can use. And you're going to call those leads again through the third number that the family's not going to recognize. You do that every day for 20 hours a week, you guys are going to be speaking to a boat ton of people, okay? So that is about triple dialing and switching out your phone numbers. We talked about tone and death pause already. So obviously you guys want to be emotional, man. You want to be human. No one wants to talk to a robot. So give me some juice. Give me some energy. Give me some love. Give me some excitement. Have fun, man. You know how many people are stuck at home right now? We are all dying to talk to people. So you have the opportunity to be the person that they're going to be talking to. And trust me when I tell you right now, especially, everybody has on their mind death. It's sad to say, but it's the truth. The coronavirus is showing all of us how sensitive life can be. It is our obligation to get hold of these guys and help them, because if somebody dies that's not prepared and the family's not prepared, I've been through it. It's not good. I'm sure some of you have been through it as well. Now, we're going to talk about the objections. Now, this is going to take a little time for you to get used to, and we're going to send this out to you guys. So each of you guys have this. And honestly, again, the name of the game is to memorize this stuff. If you memorize it, you're going to have it a lot easier. You're going to be able to go through those calls a lot more smoother. I mean, think about it. If somebody asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, or you don't sound very confident and timid, what is the likelihood of them wanting to do business with you, right? Now, listen, I always have a saying, if you're going to say it wrong, say it strong. That's super important. Even if you don't know what to say something relevant to what you're talking about and keep moving forward. But the key with objections is not pausing to wait for an acceptance. So I'm going to give you an example. This is not scripted. This is just kind of off the cusp. But if somebody says, hey, you know, somebody already called me about this and I wasn't interested before. My response, totally understand. That's actually why we're calling you, because we noticed that a policy has not been taken out. And I'm the case manager working on your case. And I was about halfway through working up the quotes before I realized I had to verify some information before I can get that out to you. Now, what I just gave you was like a way to deflect, right? So that's exactly why I'm calling. That is a phrase that I use often when I'm dialing. Oh, we're not interested. That's exactly why we're calling. When you originally took out your mortgage, you had requested information on a mortgage insurance policy that would pay off the mortgage in case of sudden death or assist with a disability. I'm the case manager working on your case, and I was about halfway through working up the quotes before I realized that I needed to verify some information before I could get that out to you. So do you see how I didn't wait? I answered the question. I rebutted it, right? I gave the objection, or they gave the objection. I gave the rebuttal, but I didn't wait. I continued to move forward through the script. I didn't pause, because what some people would do is this. They'll say, if the client says, hey, I already spoke with somebody and they said I said I wasn't interested. Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. That's exactly why I'm calling. See, I'm the case manager working on your case, and I needed to verify some information before I can get that out to you. Pause. Because they're waiting for them to accept that answer. They're waiting for them to give some sort of acknowledgement that it's okay to move forward. Listen, if you're taking notes, write this down. Assume it's okay to move forward. Assume it's okay to move forward. Don't ask if it's okay. Don't ever ask any questions that you don't want to hear the answer no to. Always play the assumptive role and the right people will follow you. And the people that aren't interested, they're just going to flat out tell you that they're not interested. But here's the rule of thumb. You always want to at least push once. If they say they're not interested, don't just say, okay, bye, because you didn't really exhaust all efforts there, did you? You just gave up. I don't want you to give up. I want you to fight a little bit. Oh, that's okay. That's why we're calling. When you originally took out that mortgage, remember, we're calling older leads, so original's big. When you originally took out that mortgage, you had requested some information on a mortgage protection insurance policy that would pay off the mortgage in case of a sudden death. And just keep moving through the script. Push through. And here's the key. If you can get through that first initial paragraph, you're going to book a lot of appointments. That's the key. But if you ask for permission, they're never going to give it to you. No one will ever give you the permission. It's going to be something they're just going to keep telling you no. So don't wait for permission. Just keep moving forward. In terms of the specific objections, I was actually just looking at our website here, and we're going to give you access to this. Let's see here. There's a whole list of objections. Let me get back to my first week. Day one on the phones. Here we go. Rebuttals and objections. So we're going to send you this form. Now it's going to be comprehensive, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed. But these are all the different types of objections that can happen, right? So, for example, objections after the first paragraph. Can you call me back? How much does it cost? I don't remember doing that. I already looked into it. Too expensive. Here are your rebuttals, right? And then you get, oh, we don't have a mortgage anymore, or we don't need it, or I'm not interested anymore. Let's put this on hold. Isn't this just life insurance? We're selling the home. We're moving. We don't have the home anymore. Who do you represent? Are you with my mortgage company? I already have coverage. Can you email me some quotes? So there's so much good information here. You're going to want to study this, okay? And here's my rule of thumb when I was dialing. If I got a no, if I got a not interested, and it was because I wasn't properly prepared for an objection, that will never happen to me twice. I would make a note, and I got caught on it. And first thing is I would look to this script or these objections and see if it's on this list. And if it is, I would study that one and memorize it. If you just study 1 or 2 objections a day and memorize those, you're going to be solid within 3 weeks. But it's the people that don't take this intentionally. It's the people that don't plan for success that they kind of wing it. Dude, if you guys wing this, it's not going to work. I'm telling you. You got to be intentional. Okay? So we're going to be sending this out to each and every single one of you guys, and I'm excited for you. But, you know, the ones that we're going to pick, the ones that are going to grow here and have the biggest opportunity, the ones that do that show me that they're willing to study and learn these things without having to be followed up on all the time, right? If you do that self-development and you're interested in being successful for you, those are the guys that are going to grow big here, okay? So let's go back, and then health qualifying. So let's get back to the script. This is the last thing we're going to cover on this meeting. So right before here, so basically right before this next paragraph, so right in here, you got to understand what we're doing. So let's kind of back up. First of all, how was this lead generated? When somebody purchases a home or when they refinance a home, Symmetry is going to send them out a direct mail piece advertising mortgage protection life insurance. And it's no gimmick. There's no carrot. There's no incentive or anything like that. It's a flat-out offer that describes how they can have their mortgage paid off entirely or partially or help with the disability if they have this insurance. So because of that, only 1 to 2% will respond to this mailer. Now, those are the people we're working. It doesn't matter that whether they requested it 4 years ago or yesterday. They still all were interested at some point, okay? So those are the leads that we're working. Now, this is life insurance. So because it's life insurance, they have to qualify for health. So traditionally, if I were the agent and I were making my own calls, I would go through the script that we just went through that you guys just memorized, but I would also add in some health questions. So, and where I would add in the health questions, just take a look at the script. So do you see how here we start off with what we already know? So it says, now you indicated on the form that you're 39 years old and a non-smoker. Is that correct? Okay, so right here is where I would insert the health questions. Okay, great. And here's the first question you ask. Are you currently taking any medications at all? I'll repeat it. Are you currently taking any medications at all? And a lot of them are going to say yes. So the next question is, okay, great. Now, what are you taking these medications for? What are you taking these medications for? And they're going to tell you all sorts of different things. High blood pressure, cholesterol, gout. It could be cancer. It could be back issues with an accident because they're on pain meds. It could be they're taking blood thinners. All your job is to do is to notate all of that. Now, in the very beginning, you don't really know what to ask, so we're going to help guide you with it. But as you grow here, you're going to learn follow-up questions to ask. So, if, for example, if somebody tells me that they're taking medications for diabetes, you want to ask a follow-up question, and the follow-up question is, are you taking a pill or insulin? So for diabetes, are you taking a pill or insulin? The next question about diabetes we want to know is, were they diagnosed with diabetes before or after the age of 50? Before or after the age of 50? If somebody says that they had cancer in the past, I want to find out what type of cancer they had and how long it's been since they've been cancer-free. If somebody says that they are taking high blood pressure medications, I want to find out how many different high blood pressure medications that they're taking. It could be 2, it could be 3, it could be 5. It could be a lot of different things. So we just want to find out how many medications are they currently taking. If somebody is telling me that, I don't know, so like here are the majors: liver disease, lung disease, heart disease, right? Cancer, diabetes, those are all the major stuff. Heart surgery of any kind, stent implant, pacemaker implant, right? Are they on oxygen? Those kind of things. So how would that sound if I was role playing it? It would be like this. Okay, John, now are you currently taking medications for anything at all? Okay, great. And what are you taking medications for? Okay, so diabetes, got it. And are you taking a pill or insulin? All right. And were you diagnosed with diabetes before or after the age of 50? Okay, excellent. And what else are you taking medications for? All right, high blood pressure, fantastic. And how many different meds are you taking for high blood pressure? Oh, just one. Okay, great. Anything else? Now pause. Notice how I keep saying anything else. I'm going to do that until they say, nope, that's it. And then I'm going to follow up with this question. I'll follow up with, okay, so any liver disease, lung disease, or heart disease? Any liver disease, lung disease, or heart disease? I'm going to also follow up with the question of, have you had any major surgeries in the last 10 years? And then that's my last question. And then I go on to the rest of the script. Okay, so in that case, okay, great. And now I have the mortgage in the amount of $300,000 when you took out it originally. So is that a 30-year term? Okay, great. And God forbid if you were to pass away, who would be the beneficiary of the home? And of course, if there's a spouse, they're going to say my wife or my girlfriend or my fiance. So you want to make sure you collect their name and information. And then boom, we're down to the next part of the script. Okay, guys, that's it. I know this sounds comprehensive and it probably sounds like a lot, but it's because you're brand new to it and you've never heard this before. The only way to get good at it is by doing it a lot. Repetition is key. Study, be prepared. You want to make the most here, that's how you're going to do it. So at this point, if you have any questions, I want you to write them down, listen to this training over and over and over again, and then I want you to jump back on the phone with either myself or one of your managers, whoever has identified themselves as your manager. They would be able to help you as well. All right, guys, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much and have a great day.